Although both Mary-Kate and Ashley starred in the TV show so little time, only Mary-Kate was given an Emmy nod. Her sister's response was heartbreaking, and the story of the twins' lives reveals why. Those familiar with the pop-cultural hit Full House will easily recognize the twin-star duo, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Yet despite their prolific careers, their launch into stardom was little more than a fluke. Their mother, Jarnett, hadn't planned for her daughters to ever be in show business. In fact, she signed them up with a casting agency on a whim, never expecting anything to come of it. But fate had other plans. At just 6 months old, the twins unknowingly stumbled into a perfect storm of opportunity. At the time, the producers of Full House faced a particular challenge. Labor laws strictly limited the amount of time infant actors could spend on set, down to only 20 minutes at a time, to be exact. In order to get the character of Michelle Tanner on screen, they needed a creative solution to keep their production on schedule without breaking any laws. Enter Mary-Kate and Ashley, the perfect solution to their problems. Since the twins could seamlessly swap in and out of scenes, they ensured that Michelle's character got the desired amount of screen time without violating regulations. As an added bonus, unlike many of the other baby actors considered for the role, the Olsen twins didn't cry during their auditions, a rare and valuable trait in Hollywood. But that particular streak didn't last long. Once filming officially began, Mary-Kate and Ashley became fussy and often uncooperative on set. John Stamos, one of the show's lead actors, later admitted that their persistent crying and difficulty taking direction made production nearly impossible at times. Frustrated, Stamos finally reached his breaking point and convinced production to look for a brief moment in time. The Olsens were off Full House, swapped for another pair of twins. But it didn't work. The replacements lacked the same screen presence, the effortless charisma that made audiences fall in love with Michelle Tanner. Before long, the showrunners had to accept the facts, and Mary-Kate and Ashley were back, cementing their place in TV history. Despite their rocky start, the twins soon grew into their roles, captivating audiences with their infectious smiles and mischievous antics. But they weren't just child stars. They were a phenomenon. By 1993, they had launched Dual Star Entertainment, a production company dedicated to crafting content specifically for the twins. Films like New York Minute and When in Rome were titles produced chiefly to fuel the Olsen empire, feeding the ever-growing demand for their presence on screen. Their faces adorned everything from VHS covers to lunchboxes, their signature style influencing an entire generation of young fans. The twins had transcended Hollywood stardom and entered the realm of branding, a move few child actors had achieved before them. But behind the scenes, their lives weren't nearly as glamorous as they seemed. While other children spent their days playing and socializing, Mary-Kate and Ashley juggled an exhausting schedule filled with filming, press tours, and business meetings. The pressures of constant work and public scrutiny weighed on them heavily. Looking back on those years, the twins later admitted that their childhood felt more like a performance than real life, saying they felt like little monkey performers, with Mary-Kate admitting, "I would never wish my upbringing on anyone." Things became even more complicated in 1996 when their parents, Dave and Jarnett Olsen, decided to part ways. Though the couple publicly maintained that the split was amicable, rumors quickly spread that the girls' skyrocketing fame had played a role in the divorce. Some whispers suggested that Jarnett and Dave had conflicting views on their daughter's future, with one parent wanting to pull them away from Hollywood while the other saw no harm in continuing their ascent. Despite the turbulence in their personal lives, the Olsen twins continued to maintain a polished, wholesome image in the public eye. But as they grew older, cracks in that carefully crafted facade began to show. It all started with a single photograph. A teenage Mary-Kate, out at a party, captured in a candid moment with a drink in hand. It wasn't unusual behavior for someone of her age, but for the Olsen twins, who had built a career on being America's sweethearts, it marked a turning point in how the public saw them. The tabloids pounced, running headlines that painted Mary-Kate as a wild child on the verge of rebellion. It was a stark departure from the clean-cut image fans had come to expect. Unfortunately, Hollywood still had other lessons to teach them. Scandalous photos don't just leak on their own. Someone has to put them out there. And in Mary-Kate Olsen's case, that someone was Spencer Pratt. Before he became infamous on the hills, Pratt was just another face in Hollywood's social scene. One night, He attended the same party as Mary-Kate and saw an opportunity that would end up earning him a quick $50,000. He snapped a photo of her and sold it to the tabloids, a betrayal that would haunt Mary-Kate for years. If Pratt felt any remorse, he never showed it. In fact, years later, he even bragged about the incident in an interview. But Mary-Kate wasn't one to let things slide. In a 2008 appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman, she responded with quiet but cutting shade, briefly discussing his bad temper and hinting at him being not so great a person. She kept her critiques subtle and classy, but Pratt, seemingly unable to help himself from adding further fuel to the fire, fired back. He launched a string of petty insults at the tabloids, going so far as to call Mary-Kate the less cute twin, and in a particularly unnecessary dig a famous troll. But as frustrating as Pratt's antics were, they were just a footnote in the larger storm that was brewing around the twins. For most child stars, growing up in the public eye comes with challenges, but for Mary-Kate and Ashley, the scrutiny took a disturbing turn. As they approached their 18th birthday, a wave of unsettling websites began popping up, complete with countdown clocks ticking away the days until they were legally adults. Desperate to fight back, the twins issued cease and desist letters to some of the worst offenders. But in the end, shutting down a website is a lot easier than shutting down the public's obsessive gaze. The invasion of their privacy wasn't just digital. It followed them everywhere, even on vacation. During a trip to Hawaii, paparazzi relentlessly pursued them, capturing every moment, including shots of them in their swimsuits. When the photos splashed across tabloids, Ashley was devastated. She later described the experience as, and it wasn't just the media's prying eyes that made their lives difficult. Rumors also swirled about their health. In her later teen years, Mary-Kate would end up battling an eating disorder. A while later, Ashley would have her own health struggles, quietly battling Lyme disease and suffering from exhaustion, headaches, joint pain, and rashes. Some speculate that her declining health was a significant factor in her decision to step away from Hollywood. By 2004, the twins were ready for a change. They enrolled at NYU, hoping to carve out a sense of normalcy in their rather abnormal lives. But even that came with its own set of challenges. Filling out a college application was a bizarre experience for them. As Mary-Kate later joked, "What are we supposed to say? Videos, movies, dolls, fashion lines?" Their approach to student life was equally unconventional. While most freshmen crammed into tiny dorm rooms, the Olsen twins moved into a lavish $7.3 million penthouse in the West Village. But despite the glamorous setup, their college experience quickly unraveled. Despite their best efforts, the twins struggled at NYU. Mary-Kate, in particular, seemed miserable. She became more open around this time about her struggles with ADD, stating, "I get extra time to take tests because of my ADD. Everybody's brains work differently, and I just need longer for things to register." She frequently skipped class and looked for ways to study remotely from Los Angeles. Eventually, she dropped out, and true to their inseparable bond, Ashley followed suit. Some chalked the decision up to disinterest, but there was a darker side to their departure. The twins suspected their classmates were secretly photographing them and trying to catch them in compromising situations, much like what had happened to Mary-Kate in the past. Feeling unsafe, they made the decision to leave New York behind. Their time at NYU may have been short-lived, but it was a turning point. It marked the beginning of their slow retreat from the Hollywood spotlight, a decision that, in many ways, would define the next chapter of their lives. By the mid-2000s, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen stepped away from acting and pursued a completely different path, fashion. After dabbling in tween apparel with a Walmart deal, they rebranded themselves as high-fashion designers, launching the luxury label The Row and the contemporary line Elizabeth and James, named after their siblings. The transition appeared rather seamless, but behind the scenes, life wasn't always picture-perfect. Like many in their industries, the twins had been rumored to have had cosmetic procedures, but for Ashley, one of those procedures turned into a nightmare. After a facelift went wrong, she developed necrosis, a condition where the skin starts dying due to lack of blood flow. Her face became swollen and bruised, requiring oxygen therapy to heal. She eventually recovered, but the ordeal was a heavy burden for the twins to carry. When it comes to relationships, the Olsen twins have always been intensely private, but some details have slipped through the cracks. For one, they have a habit of third-wheeling each other's dates. Most couples might find that awkward, but for these inseparable sisters, it was just part of life. Even more interestingly, when they were younger, they actually handpicked their own on-screen love interests. Since they had casting control in their movies, they took full advantage, selecting boys they had crushes on to play the romantic leads. In Passport to Paris, Mary-Kate likely shared her first real kiss on screen, though the director later admitted that she was so nervous it took several takes. While they've dated a range of people, one pattern stands out: wealthy and relatively unknown partners. Mary-Kate previously dated David Katzenberg, son of DreamWorks co-founder Jeffrey Katzenberg, while Ashley married Louis Eisner, the son of an entertainment industry lawyer and the father of Ashley's son Otto. However, some of their past relationships have been more controversial. Ashley, for example, has been linked to Hollywood stars like Jared Leto and Justin Bartha, but her most eyebrow-raising relationship was with the financier and art dealer Richard Sachs, who was decades older than her. Their brief but very public romance, often displayed front row at events, turned plenty of heads. Still, it was Mary-Kate's love life that would take an even more unexpected turn. In 2012, she began dating Olivier Sarkozy, the half-brother of former French President Nicolas Sarkozy. Unlike Ashley's brief fling with Richard Sachs, Mary-Kate's relationship with Sarkozy became serious and very public. When they announced their engagement in 2014, the media frenzy began. Given Sarkozy's past, a 14-year marriage with 2 children, many were curious about how this union would unfold. And when the details of their ultra-private wedding leaked, the intrigue only deepened. The couple's 2015 nuptials were the epitome of secrecy. With only 50 guests in attendance, the ceremony was a strictly private affair. In fact, guests were required to surrender their phones at the door, ensuring that no photos or videos surfaced. But unfortunately, no amount of privacy could help the relationship last. By 2020, Mary-Kate's marriage was crumbling. The pandemic put a strain on countless couples, and for Mary-Kate and Sarkozy, it was the breaking point. She filed for divorce, but this wasn't as simple as a mere breakup. Shortly before Mary-Kate filed, Sarkozy invited his ex-wife, Charlotte Bernard, their children, and even his mother to stay in their home. While he claimed it was for safety reasons, some sources speculated that it was a calculated move to drive Mary-Kate away. As tensions escalated, reports surfaced that Sarkozy had been cruel to Mary-Kate, making the split all the more urgent. She filed a divorce in April 2020, but with the courts overwhelmed by the global crisis, she was stuck in limbo. Frustrated, she attempted to file an emergency order to speed up the process, only to be denied within a day. Mary-Kate's urgency wasn't just about ending the marriage either. In her emergency filing, she revealed that Olivier Sarkozy was trying to terminate their lease and evict her by May 18th. Even with her vast resources, securing a new home in such a short time during a pandemic was nearly impossible. But Mary-Kate had somewhere to turn. As she had done countless times before, Mary-Kate leaned on her twin. While the legal battle raged on, she stayed with Ashley, finding refuge in her sister's home. By early 2021, her divorce was finalized, and Mary-Kate was officially free. But as painful as that chapter was, it wasn't the darkest connection in her past. In 2008, the world was devastated by the passing of Heath Ledger just before the Dark Knight cemented him as a Hollywood legend. But hidden beneath the headline was a mysterious detail. Mary-Kate Olsen was the first person contacted that day. When Ledger's massage therapist found him unresponsive, she didn't call 911 first. Instead, she called Mary-Kate twice, and when Mary-Kate finally picked up, she instantly leapt into action. Immediately, Mary-Kate sent a private security guard to Ledger's apartment. This raised eyebrows. What exactly was the connection between these two stars? Reports later confirmed that Mary-Kate and Heath Ledger had been casually dating for about 3 months before his passing. But whether their relationship was deeper than that remains a mystery. And when authorities investigated the source of Ledger's prescription medication, more and more questions started to arise. With speculation mounting, Mary-Kate allegedly told investigators she would only speak if granted immunity. Whether she ever received it or not remains unknown, but her lawyer later insisted she had shared everything she knew. Her testimony was never made public, So whatever it was she may have said in those closed-door conversations, we'll never know. Through it all, the scandals, the heartbreak, the relentless spotlight, one thing never changed. Mary-Kate and Ashley's bond. After a childhood of sharing in each other's joys and hardships and forging their acting careers together, the twins stood strong, shoulder to shoulder. Hollywood's trials hadn't shaken them, and they were moving upwards. Unfortunately, the world of stardom had another unfair lesson to teach. Despite both sisters starring in so little time together, only one of the twins received an Emmy nomination. It was Mary-Kate. Even so, Ashley never let any disappointment or resentment show. Though the industry had overlooked her, she continued to support her sister, publicly praising her talents. It was an early testament to the love the sisters have always shared, proving that through all their ups and downs, their bond remains unbreakable. If you enjoyed this Tales That Tell video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories.